Getting ready to do a show.
Station AM 860 The Answer. WGUL. Dunedin. Download the Answer Tampa app or listen online at theanswertampa.com. Tune in at Odyssey. Here's the latest from the Answer News Center.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. Former President Trump held a rally in Nevada last night, blasting the Biden administration.
Under Democrat rule, the price of gas in Nevada is up 100% from the days of the Trump administration. 2 years ago, think of it, 2 years ago, everything was so good in our country, and now it's going to pieces. It's falling apart. You now have gasoline $5 today, $5.54 a gallon. It was $1.87 a couple of years ago.
That Odyssey courtesy, the audio rather, courtesy of Newsmax. Authorities say 10 people have been killed in an explosion that destroyed a gas station in a small village in northwest Ireland. Victims, men, women, and children. This is SRN News. A lawsuit has been filed against New York Governor Kathy Hochul against a group of gun owners who are Jewish. They say her gun rights laws violate their religious freedom because they're not allowed to carry firearms into synagogues. The legal action is being taken by the New York State Jewish Gun Club, which says, quote, the law specifically targets religious people by threatening them with arrest and felony prosecution if they carry their firearm while engaging in religious observance. It remains legal in the state to carry a gun in public, but not to take any weapon into a house of worship. Legal battles are springing up around the country over the religious tradition of confession. Clergy in 33 states are exempt from laws requiring professionals such as teachers and therapists to report information about alleged child abuse to police. In many religious traditions, confessions made to clergy are considered privileged and not to be revealed under any circumstances. This is SRN News.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour. Only on AM 860, The Answer.
A beautiful end of the weekend on tap for today with mostly sunny skies. A great afternoon for football, the high 88. A moonlit sky for tonight, low 72. Tomorrow, periods of clouds and sunshine. Expect a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon. Tomorrow's high 87. Plan with confidence. Download the redesigned AccuWeather app today. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm forecaster Drew Shannon for AM 860, The Answer.
Well, I'm staggering and I'm fumbling. Boys, I've been drinking for days. Well, I'm staggering and I'm fumbling. Boys, I've been drinking for days.
And I'm on. This is Dr. Bill, your radio MD. Welcome to the show. Oop, let me get my face up here. Transition on my old whatever you call the board you work off of, our control panel.
Board?
The control panel. Yeah, I forgot to click my own face on. We want to see that handsome young man, don't we?
Absolutely. It's me nobody wants to see. Trust me.
I'm telling you. So here's the story now. The Russians apparently have 1 to 2,000. We're estimating around 2,000 tactical nuclear weapons, which deliver 5 kilotons, which is about a third of what I think the Hiroshima bomb delivered. So that would take out the National Mall, which is a length of 2.5 miles, and so that whole circle would be gone. Now, the 16 kiloton Hiroshima bomb, that basically would take out everything from the Arlington National Cemetery to RFK Stadium, and basically it's about the size of San Francisco, so that's not bad. That's a good yield. So the question is do the Russians have that many weapons? Well, yeah, they probably have that many tactical weapons. Do they work? Where are they? They're stored somewhere. They have to go find them. And does anybody remember how to turn the damn things on? So...
oh man, they are becoming a laughing stock now, aren't they?
Oh my God! So they've got the SS-26, which is a truck that launches a missile that's got about a 300-mile range. They can put a conventional warhead or a little nuke on there, and I guess they're going to try and blow the Ukrainians off the map. But if they do that, I think that we'll have no choice but to respond.
NATO, UN, everybody would demand some sort of response. Yeah.
And now the president is saying, well, this is Armageddon. I don't know what he was saying. He was babbling about something. And so what do we do if there's a radiation emergency? Well, first of all, you want to take some potassium iodide, because that's if you survive. And if you do survive, make sure you're indoors. If you have to go outdoors, make sure you've got some kind of mask or cover on your face, because there'll be dust around that'll be radioactive, and you get that in your lungs. That's not good. So potassium iodide will protect your thyroid gland. It blocks uptake of radioactive iodide, which is one of the byproducts of an explosion. Then we've got Prussian blue and DTPA. And those two agents will bind other radioactive heavy metals like strontium and thallium and americium. Now, americium, as you know, I've told you this before, Ken, that's what they put in the smoke and carbon monoxide detectors so that the batteries will last forever. It's just a very small amount, but they use that. So the main thing is get your ass out of the blast zone. When they tell you to evacuate, you better evacuate. And And then stay indoors and protect your airway, protect your skin. If you get radioactive material on you, soap and water. Did you know that? Soap and water.
No, I had no idea that's what you did.
Soap and water. That's all you do is you just soap and water yourself off and get back indoors. So, I mean, if you have the need to streak through a nuclear dust field, when you're done, make sure you wash.
Not a good time for your streaking debut.
No, and so, anyway.
So, there are no basements in Florida. There's no real shelter for your house.
We got to.
You really got to get out of town.
You got to get out of town, and MacDill is a high priority target for the Russians because that's the command center for all the European and Western activities.
Middle Eastern too, I think. Yeah. So.
Is it for the Middle East? Yeah, I think all the way over to China, and then I think at that point they take back over with Pacific Command.
Yeah, there's probably 4 or 5 nukes targeted for Tampa. Sorry to say, folks.
All right, here's a question for you, Ken.
Yeah.
Where does the day begin? Where does a new day begin in the United States?
In the United States?
Yep. Where does it begin?
Man, I'm not sure if those Alaskan islands are over the date line or not.
American Samoa.
American Samoa, okay.
There you go. Now you know more than you ever wanted to know.
I love this show. I learn something every Sunday.
Every Sunday we learn something. So one of my patients came in and her husband had a colonoscopy, which, as you know, is the scope up the butt into the colon and look around. And so my wife says to her, did they find anything? She said, yeah, they found one of my shoes. And now we know why he behaves. So at any rate, that's that story. Now Ken asked me to talk about, God knows why he wants to know about this.
Oh, I read this. I thought it was fascinating.
Where is that? That's oncolytic herpes simplex virus-based therapies for cancer. So what is herpes simplex? Well, herpes simplex is a virus in the herpes virus family, and it causes things like cold sores, and it can cause genital lesions. There's herpes 1 and herpes 2. Herpes 2 is considered more of a venereal disease, usually self-limited, but at any rate, so what they've done is they've taken this herpes simplex virus and they've manipulated the genetics of this so it will only attack certain cancer cells, which is pretty cool.
And it makes them explode.
It makes them explode, which is what viruses generally do. They enter healthy cells, whether they're animal or plant or whatever, and they use the cell's own genetic and manufacturing abilities to reproduce themselves and make little baby viruses. And then when they've made enough, the cell explodes. And so if we can get these things to just attack certain cells we don't like, bad cells, like cancer, then we can actually use these to fight cancer. And so this is in the works, and I think that, as you pointed out, Moffitt is doing some research on that, and MD Anderson and some other big cancer centers.
Right now, mostly just melanoma, and they're looking at breast cancer, but who knows where it could go.
Yeah, well, and of course, we want them to come up with something for you when you come down with your throat cancer from smoking.
If they could work on lung cancer and throat cancer next, that would be great.
That would, that would make you happy. Then you could keep smoking.
I could double my package.
You could double your intake. Oh my God!
I'm impossible, Doc. I'm hopeless.
You're making me choke over here. So at any rate, that was what Ken wanted to talk about, and then I wanted to talk to you about sepsis because I had a patient come in. Actually, she came in, I forget if it was Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Monday she came in, and she had fallen. She's got some problems that are escalating, getting older, and small vessel disease of the brain, and imbalance, and so on and so forth. She scraped her knee, and it was infected. She had a little infection in that area, in the soft tissue in the skin. And so she said, well, you gave me an antibiotic that worked last time, but it was too expensive. So I gave her the poor man's version of vancomycin. Vancomycin is what we use for treating gram-positives, including MRSA, staph, the bad staph drug.
Sure.
Or not drug, but the bad staph bug. So I gave her that, and she called me the next day and said, "Oh my God, I'm having a reaction to the antibiotics, and I'm having this and that and this and that, and I can't stand up." And I said, "Okay, well, are you sick enough to be in the hospital?" "No, no, no." I said, "Well, then just stop it and let's wait and see." Of course, later that night, she called the ambulance and ended up in the hospital. And she actually looked septic to me. And sepsis is when you have an infection that can get into your bloodstream. It can cause fever or low temperature. It can cause elevated heart rate or low heart rate. It can cause elevated respiratory rate. It can cause kidney damage, acute kidney failure, which she had, elevated liver enzymes, which she had, and so this is a big deal for us because a lot of people used to die from this, and now that we're more aware of it and diagnose it quicker, get them on antibiotics, and rehydrate and treat the symptoms of sepsis, then we can save people. So we have to do a blood count, get chemical studies of your liver and kidney and all that, urinalysis, blood cultures, make sure there's no bacteria growing in your blood. And if there is, then we need to know what kind and what it's sensitive to antibiotic-wise. You know what I'm saying?
How do you know if you're suffering from this? I mean, what do you feel? When should you call a doctor?
Well, I think that if you have suspicion of a source of infection and your respiratory rate is up, you're breathing harder, you're either febrile or cool, and you have she had numbness and tingling of her feet, and her feet were cold because the blood vessels were constricting in her feet, and so these are some of the signs and symptoms. So like if you have a urinary tract infection or a prostate infection, which is not uncommon in older people, or in younger people, things like scrapes that become infected, skin infections, venereal infections, pneumonias, these sorts of things, cough, congestion, wheezing, along with fever, chills, elevated respiratory rate. And so there's a number of things that we can do, including the usual workup, imaging of the chest and the belly. People can also get infection in their colons, as they get older. They get diverticuli, which are little outpouchings in the bowel, in the large bowel.
If you say so.
And yeah, they're like little outpouchings that the bowel wall gets a little weak, and you have some of the mucosa, some of the lining of the bowel that can pooch out. And then those can become inflamed and become infected, and you get diverticulitis, which is another source. So we want to get you in the hospital and get you on antibiotics and rehydrate you and save your kidneys. And actually, she got better with antibiotics and fluids. So apparently I made the right diagnosis. But I'm not going to put it in the chart because then I'll have to answer all these questions from health information systems.
Just leaves the paperwork, doesn't it, Doc?
Well, they want to code everything appropriately, and so they want to know every single itty-bitty last diagnostic code that they can put in there, and so they pester the crap out of us, Ken.
Is this Medicare you're talking about?
This is the billing department at the hospital.
The billing department of the hospital. Okay.
Yeah, so they said
they have to know because they're doing the billing.
They're doing the billing, so they got to have all the codes in there. So I used to put down everything, and now I'm just like, yeah.
I'm sure they're glad to hear this morning that you're not doing that. We forget we're on the radio sometimes.
Yeah, but we have fun.
We do. We have a ball here on our little radio show.
This is the fastest hour in radio. Absolutely. I tell you, this goes by so quick for me. I don't even know how I'm here.
I just love anticipating what you're going to be bringing up. Because I never know. Sometimes, I never know till we get on, really, what we're going to be talking about. We may talk about it for a second or two, but I never really know. So today I did have that question about the Moffitt thing that they were doing, and we communicated for that. But I look for these things now to talk to you about.
Yeah, that way you can stimulate me to talk about things that you think are important, because I don't always know what people want to hear. I know what I want to hear, but I want you guys to hear what you want to hear too. I don't want to hog the whole show because it's for everybody. So any rate, where was I? Oh, I got to tell you this. So I got a hybrid hot water heater. You know what those are?
A hybrid? hot water heater.
Yeah,
A hybrid.
A hybrid hot water heater is a water heater that has a heat pump in it, so it's like an air conditioner that runs in reverse. So you know how your air conditioner, you got the coils inside the house that are cold, and then when the gas expands, it goes outside and it gives off heat into the atmosphere. So if you go out to your outside air conditioner part, there's a fan running, and you'll see like little coils going back and forth like a radiator. Well, if you take those coils and you put them inside of your hot water tank, and you use those to heat up your water, then your hot water heater will give off cold air. So you have like a little air conditioner in your garage. It's pretty cool.
I've never heard of that. See, another thing I've learned today. Only 18 minutes into the show, and I've learned 2 things today.
Dang. So at any rate, these things are they're energy efficient, and they cost a little bit more. They cost about double of what a good hot water heater would cost. So if you got a double element high efficiency water heater that cost you $1,000, this was about $2,000, and you'd save about $200 to $300 a year in electricity because you're not using the coil, although it has a heating coil in it, like a stove has, but you're using your heat pump, your air conditioner, whatever you want to call it. So at any rate, I got this guy from up at the service station who's helped me do a couple of things. Kyle. I'm going to kill him when I get my hands around his neck.
What did Kyle do?
So so we're putting it together, and he wants to take care of me, because he thinks, well, he's the younger and bigger and stronger, and that's fine. So he's gluing the PVC, the tubing that you put. We don't use copper much anymore because we got PVC. It's easy to use. So he's gluing it together, and I'm saying, Kyle, you want to start from the hot water unit and go back to the wall where the feed is for the water coming into the unit. Okay, Doc. Okay. So he gets this glued, and then he gets that, and he says he's got a piece that he's going to put on. He said, let me go ahead and glue these 2 pieces together because we got about a 3-foot piece we got to drop down the wall to turn out and feed into the hot water heater. I said, all right. And so I wasn't watching. So we got it done, and I wired it up, and everything's working fine. And so I say, well, thanks, Kyle. And he goes home, and I open up the valve to let the cold water in to the tank. And I'm standing there, and guess what?
Hot water?
No, he didn't glue 2 of the joints together.
Oh, my goodness.
So that piece of that 3-foot piece of pipe, PVC, that just blew out. I got a bath, and of course the garage looks better because we had a good scrubbing of the floor there. So I had to turn everything off, and it took several hours to dry everything out. Finally got it hooked back up. It's working fine now, but there you go.
Well, Kyle, his intentions were true.
They were true, and I texted him, and I told him he was now indebted to me, but I put it in words that we can't say on the
okay, please don't. Yeah.
On the show. I told him I'm coming up to the service station on Monday and get my money back. I won't do that though.
Well, I'm glad Kyle's looking after you.
Yeah. So anyway, Yanni Barrios, 32, he stabbed those 2 people to death and maimed several others out on the Strip in Las Vegas last week. And he said he was mad. He was angry. And that's
what was he angry about? What was he angry about, did he say?
He felt that he was letting his anger out. He felt that he had been disrespected by some of the people on the Strip. I guess a couple of women who worked as dance girls or something out there wouldn't let him have a picture with them. And so right before he stabbed one guy and killed him, he said, sorry, man. So at least he apologized in advance.
Yeah.
So he was covered in blood when they arrested him, and they got him in there, and obviously he's crazy as a loon.
Yeah, he's a psycho. Yeah.
And, this is once again another reason that we need institutions to lock people up in. We need prisons. We need mental institutions. Oh, well.
Are there many left? I mean, they've been closing everywhere.
Yeah, they closed. Yeah, because the government doesn't want to pay for them, and in general, there's better outpatient treatment now than there was 50 years ago, so we can medicate people and control a lot of the behavior. But the bad personality disorders and the psychopaths and the psychotics that are violent, there's nothing you can do but lock them up. Because even if you get them on medicine, they're not going to stay on it. They don't think they're sick.
Yeah.
Oh, well. On the other side of the world, over in Iran, Persia, the women are hot, Ken. They're hot.
They're angry, and that's not good.
They told the president of the country to get lost when he came to their campus. He accused them of being like flies because they were rioting, and I'm sure he called Allah's name into it and all that. But at any rate, so the whole story is they arrested a Kurdish woman who was a student, and they put her in jail because she didn't have her headdress on right in public or something. She didn't have her face covered or whatever. And she died in prison 3 days later. Well, the women didn't like that at all. And, boy, they're hot. And so there have been riots in got over 100 cities. And all the women are marching up and down. Of course, they can always find some guys that'll follow along. But they got big problems over there. They have a fairly well-educated population for Middle Asian. I guess that's Middle Asia. That's not East Asia. I think East Asia begins at the Persian-Iraq border. But at any rate, it's that area over there. And these people are not going to put up with it much longer. And I don't know how many Persians you've met, but they are nice people, well-educated, smart. They like Americans. And it's just too bad that they allowed themselves to be taken. Well, I guess they didn't have much choice because they're not armed. They didn't have guns. So when the fundamentalist revolutionaries came in the late 70s, there wasn't anybody to stand up and fight because idiot Carter walked away from the Shah, and the Shah ended up traveling all over the world. I think he finally came here and died at a hospital in New York City.
I think you're right on that. Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Well, maybe you should take a few aircraft and drop a couple of thousand guns down the streets of Iran.
Yeah, we should do that.
Start just dropping guns on them.
Yeah, I know. But what if the gendarmes, what if the police and the soldiers pick them up? Then they might use them against us.
Okay, I didn't think that through. You're right.
Maybe we should actually.
We'll mail them.
Yeah, let's mail them directly.
Send us your address. We'll mail you a gun.
Everybody who wants a gun, hold your hand up.
That's right. I wish we could help them, but cause you're right. I don't blame the people. I blame the administration for all the evil over there.
Oh yeah, they just want to drink beer and watch soccer.
They're just like us. They just want to.
One of my friends who came over here, he's a doctor, and I said, "Are you religious?" He said, "Are you kidding?" Because he was raised Muslim. He said, "I got over here, and the first thing I did was pop a beer and sit down and watch some football." I'm like, "Yes, sir. That's my kind of American." But on the other side of the pond, Ken, on the other side of the pond, Prince Harry, who's actually back over here on this side of the pond, he's living out in Hollywood. Meghan Markle drug him to Canada, over to Vancouver, and then worked her way down the coast. Now she's back home with all her homies. I feel bad for this guy. He's kind of lost and easily misled by, not that I've ever been misled by a woman, but he seems to be really struggling, and I guess this is not the first time, so I'm worried about him. And I was thinking about calling him up and see if he wants to come on the show, but I don't know. It might be.
Yeah, why not? Hey, sure.
It might be embarrassing for him. I wouldn't ask him anything heavy, I'd just say, "How's it going, buddy?" And anything we can do, and if you need to get out for an evening, we'll meet you out there and at the sports bar and that sort of stuff. But I guess he's kind of had trouble figuring out where he fits in, and I guess you would be a little bit intimidated if your older brother was going to be the king and you were just the prince of Sussex or whatever. I don't even know where the hell Sussex is. Is that actually a place, or is that?
Yeah, I believe it is, but I've never been there, so.
So at any rate, I know I'm bringing this up a lot, but I continue to worry about him, and this whole thing with Meghan Markle's got me upset. Any rate, now
I keep reading that Harry's not all that happy anymore.
Well, I mean,
you never know what you're reading.
Well, I mean, how can you be happy when your life is being dictated to by a woman? Wait a minute, let me check that. Hang on a second. I got to think this one through. Let me back.
I mean, he gave up a lot there.
Oh, he gave up a lot, but they'd have him back in a heartbeat if he'd dump her.
If he dump her, right.
Yeah. Bring the kid, though, because the kid's cute. He'd make a cute little sub-prince or whatever. What do you call the prince of a prince?
I think you're still a prince, aren't you?
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
Now, this I got, believe it or not, I got this from the Global Times, which is the official communist Chinese newspaper. The Caribbean island of Bonaire is suing the Dutch government over rising seas. So, Bonaire, I told you I went to Aruba and Curacao on the cruise. Okay, so the ABCs are the three Dutch islands in the Caribbean, which is, the Caribbean's just south of us here. So Bonaire is the smallest of the three islands, and the people in Bonaire, I think all 27 of them, are upset, and they're suing the Dutch government because they say rising water levels are threatening their coral reef, which is a big draw for their tourism and their tourist business, and they're worried about storms. So this is the Greenpeace contention down in Bonaire. They want the Dutch government to give them assurances and, of course, money, because that always helps when you're in an an ecologic crisis. Ecology and economy are pretty close, so you got to have both together. So they're suing their parent government.
What do they want them to do? Build a dike?
I don't know. Maybe they want them to come over and with buckets and pumps and lower the sea level. I don't know. What are you going to do? I mean, for God's sake.
I don't know. How do you protect an island like that?
I have no idea. I don't think that they can put up any New Orleans type dikes and levee systems because it's elevated up enough. But
I don't know. You'd have to surround the entire island.
You would. You really would.
That'd be trillions of dollars, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then what would you do to save the coral reef? I guess you could drill underneath it and lift the whole damn seafloor up.
Just jack up the whole island.
Yeah, you could just lift the whole island and all the surrounding coral reef, and it's an amazing world. An amazing world.
It is. It's a nutty, nutty world, though. It's a mad, 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 mad world. One of my favorite movies.
The fun thing is that it's probably no madder than it's ever been, but there's just so much more madness because there's so many more of us, and there's so much more technology, and it comes,
we just hear about it,
and you can hear about it. I mean, we think that news didn't travel very fast, but you got to remember, once the telegraph was invented, it was instantaneous, and President Lincoln, he sat in the telegraph office at the White House during battles, and he'd get instantaneous updates as to what was going on. And of course, being a good president like Richard Nixon or Lyndon Johnson, he wanted to give feedback to the general, so he sent back what he wanted done, and they were like, "Now you ain't here, dude." So anyway,
and we ain't slowed down at all. We've speeded up. We
go even. Well, now not only can the president and a few select elite get a telegraph immediately of what's going on, everybody can get everything immediately.
Well, it used to be Crazy Joe down the block just talked to the neighbors. Now he talks to the whole world.
Yeah, and I tell this story from time to time when my son's older brother died. I think that people in Australia and England knew about it because of Facebook before I did. I mean,
really,
within a few hours, the news was all over the world because Zeke had, he was a young teenager and he had this whole network of people on Facebook, and so they just, transmitted that all over the world to each of their friends, and he had sympathy pouring in from all over the world. Amazing.
Yeah, we are all connected, whether we like it or not.
Well,
you can disconnect, get off Facebook if you like.
They'll still find you, bud.
They'll find you on Twitter. That's right.
Doc,
it's 9:32. Look at how you're right about this. How we're moving along. Just
oh my really God! You mean we got to take a break and get coffee?
Yeah, but let's do a question first, shall we?
Yeah, let's do a question, buddy.
This is for Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. First caller will win, and the deal is, as always, the question deals with something we talked about in the first half hour of the show. So if you've been with us From the beginning, you should have no problem answering this question. Doc put a new state-of-the-art water heater in his garage, but there was a mishap. What happened when he was putting his water heater in the last week or so? Give us a call, 877-969-8600, 877-969-8600. The first caller with the correct answer will win to Dr. Bill, your Radio MD coffee mugs. Ain't that right, Doc?
Yahoo! We'll be right back. I'm Dr. Bill with Ken.
Well, I stagger and I fumble. Boys, I've been drinking for days.
Here's the latest from the Answer News Center.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington. 5 years after women's stories about him made the Me Too movement explode, Harvey Weinstein is going on trial in Los Angeles again, where he was once king of the Oscars. Weinstein is already serving a 23-year sentence for rape and sexual assault in New York. Jury selection begins tomorrow for his second trial. He's been indicted on 4 counts of rape and 7 other counts of sexual assault involving 5 women. The UN nuclear watchdog says Ukraine's Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, the biggest in Europe, has lost its last remaining external power source as a result of renewed shelling and is now relying on emergency power only. And the NFL and NFL Players Association have agreed to modify the league's concussion protocol after a very public injury to Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. He is recovering. This is SRN News.
AM 860, The Answer. Listen on our website, theanswertampa.com, on 100.3 FM, W229DJ Dunedin, by downloading the Answer Tampa app, or on TuneIn or Odyssey.
Dr. Bill for Bay Area Medical, located at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Pete, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Full service clinic with x-ray, heart imaging, ultrasound, stress testing, and minor surgery. We provide quality health care in a warm and friendly atmosphere. We are multilingual, well-trained, and certified. Most American insurance and new patients accepted. Bay Area Medical, home of Can Care, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. With social distancing and sheltering in place, telemedicine is here. Bay Area Medical, home of Can Care Clinic, offers telemedicine for new and established patients. You can see me without an in-office visit. Schedule an appointment at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need. For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Copays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandhi. 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
The latest from AccuWeather at the top and bottom of the hour. Only on AM 860, The Answer.
A beautiful end of the weekend on tap for today with mostly sunny skies. A great afternoon for football, the high 88. A moonlit sky for tonight, low 72. Tomorrow, periods of clouds and sunshine. Expect a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon. Tomorrow's high 87. Plan with confidence. Download the redesigned AccuWeather app today. That's your AccuWeather forecast. I'm forecaster Drew Shannon for AM 860, The Answer.
Boys, I've been drinking for days. Well, I stagger and I fumble. Boys, I've been drinking for days.
And I'm back. This is Dr. Bill. I like that little ditty.
So do I. I love it. Yeah.
Found that on Storyblock. So,
I think we got a hit.
Yeah, I think we got something there, bud. So I'm back. I'm Dr. Bill. I got Ken with me. We're doing a radio show, and we're streaming on live on Facebook and YouTube and drbillyourradiomd.com. And I think Joe said that we're now live on Spotify on the audio side of it. We'll have to work on the video side. And we're on a couple other platforms, but we're getting there, Ken. We're getting there.
Well, Joe says it's true,
If Joe says it, it's true. Joe is our operations manager. He basically runs the station for Barb. She just counts the money, I think.
Oh, now don't say that. She's very integral to the operation.
She is.
Joe's a genius, though. I'm pretty sure Joe's a genius.
Yeah, I think so, too. And he always gives me a hug and a kiss when he comes over.
Well, he won't do that to me anymore.
You're getting too old and ugly, dude.
I think people started talking. Hey, Doc.
You got a winner?
We got a winner. Congratulate Tony Gigliotti of St. Pete.
Tony
knew that the answer to the question, by the way, the question was, Doc put in a new state-of-the-art water heater over the last week or so, and he had a little problem. It started leaking as soon as he turned it on, but it got all fixed up, and they washed the garage floor, and everything's fine. Tony knew that, and he has won himself 2 Dr. Bill, Your Radio MD coffee mugs coming out to you, Tony. So just hang in there. It'll be in the mail pretty soon. And he wanted me to specifically say, hello, Doc, from Tony.
Tony, thanks for being with us, buddy. We really love you, and we appreciate everybody out there who listens to the show. And I like that everybody calls in and tries to get a mug. That's good. That's a good thing. Yeah,
you're going to run out of mugs one of these days.
We'll order more. I have to call my girlfriend over in China and have her make up another 5,000.
We have to get you go over to Doc's office, and if you're not a patient of Doc's, my question is, why not?
That's right. You get a mug.
You get a mug. They're sitting on the table there.
Yep.
They're stacked up like a grocery store.
You got it, buddy.
Yeah. So call Doc, set an appointment. What's that number to call if they want to set an appointment, Doc?
727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. And we've got telemedicine, we've got lab medicine, we've got cardiology workup, we can do minor surgery, take off lumps and bumps, of course, regular medicine, and as I was talking, like the patient I had who had sepsis. So we treat a little bit of everything. I kind of enjoy it. I like the variety, and I like the challenge. It keeps me sharp, and it makes me read, and it makes me study, and it makes me investigate. And that's what a good doctor does, is he investigates.
And he's if you're a smoker, he's not too hard on you.
And if you're a smoker, we welcome you even more. You're good for business.
You may not be with them very long, but hey.
Hey, there's more smokers out there. We'll find another one. So now you heard about the Kerch Bridge in Crimea that the Ukrainians blew up, and they say this could have a significant impact on Russia's already strained ability to sustain its forces, because I guess it was a supply line, and the Chinese are saying, it's just a publicity stunt, and it's not that big of a deal. But
the Chinese are saying that?
Yeah, and the official China, the global
official
time
news agency, yeah.
Yeah, they're saying it's not that big of a deal. But the big deal for them is that statements coming out of NATO are sure to bring us into a World War III. And my response to the Chinese is, well, stay out of it.
Yeah.
Keep your nose out of it.
Hey, all Russia has to do to stop all this is pull out. That's it.
And now our ultra-liberal USA Today, this is the headlines from their blurb this morning. Election workers fear trouble. Boost security as vengeful threats persist after Trump loss. And the key points are election workers in the U.S. have faced threats and fear intimidation from conservative activists.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember making any threats. Republicans and conservative groups plan to flood the elections with thousands of poll watchers. Oh, my God. That is awful. How could we do that? And the Justice Department launched a task force to counter abuse towards poll workers in fall elections. And then the Republicans say poll watchers promote election integrity and rule breakers will be kicked out. Oh, my God. Ken, we are horrible people. Just horrible.
Well, there's nothing wrong with watching. Nothing.
No, and we are allowed to watch.
Keeps everybody honest.
We're allowed to watch.
On the process,
We are allowed to watch. There's nothing wrong with watching. And by the way, the South Koreans and the Japanese are watching intercontinental ballistic missiles fly over their country, which, is kind of like when we all go outside and look for, down here in Florida, in South Florida, when we look for a launch from Cape Canaveral. I mean,
saw one just last night.
Yeah, it's the same thing, and it's free.
Exactly.
And you get it up close and personal because they'll shoot that rocket right over you.
Well, one of these days, I hope they don't make a little mistake over there in North Korea and land in the middle of Japan. That would start a whole bunch of, that would open up a hornet's nest,
Oh, my God. That would be terrible. I mean, that would...
It may have been an accident, but still.
Well, Biden said that he'd defend Taiwan, so he might confuse Taiwan with Japan and send troops to the wrong country. But
well, sir, they bombed Japan. Why do you send everybody to Taiwan?
I know. It doesn't make any sense, but
yeah.
That's the administration we have. So, at any rate, here's the latest from NPR, who is also very insightful and brilliant and has a lot of positive things to say. Hurricane Ian highlighted the vulnerabilities of older mobile homes. What? I mean, where do these people live? I mean, any mobile home in a hurricane category.
They get very mobile in a hurricane.
They get mobile. I told my friend last week, I said, we moved. He said, yeah, what happened? I said, the chalk blocks came out from under the wheels of the mobile home, so we rolled 3 feet. So... I mean, who thinks
I don't
this?
think I'd want to be in one in category 5.
Who thinks these things up at these newspaper and news agencies? I mean,
that's the problem with that's the problem with America today, right now, Doc. As far as the media is concerned, 24-hour news channels should not exist anywhere on the radio, on television, anywhere. There's not enough news.
It's just.
So they have to start making it up.
Well, plus, how many times can you report Mrs. Minerva's cat getting caught up the tree and the fire department took 30 minutes to respond?
Exactly. Every 20 minutes they're doing this, and it gets boring, so people tune out, so they have to make it more exciting.
Now, this you'll like, Ken. A driver was arrested for a DUI in our county here in Pinellas after crashing into a Pinellas deputy who was assigned to the DUI unit. So they made, I guess it was kind of like fate, they made instant contact.
They were destined to meet, yes.
So the guy that was drunk and the DUI cop, they got together, which is, I guess, what we want, right? Isn't that what
sure. It's Kismet, that's right.
And then, by the way, on the other side of town, a St. Pete woman, St. Pete is in Pinellas County, St. Pete, Florida, allegedly stole over $1,100 in liquor from a Publix. I've only made out with maybe 20 or 30 at a time. So
did you get her address? Do you have her address at all?
Yeah, let's get her address and see if we can party with. How do you get out with $1,100 in booze?
Knock on the door. Hey, how about a shot?
It's just unbelievable. News is it's stranger than fiction at times. Stranger than fiction.
You can't make some of this stuff.
You
up.
cannot make it up. You can't make it up. So, at any rate, apparently the situation with the election is Trump's ramping up the rhetoric. I think he was out in Nevada yesterday, bashing the Biden administration and talking about the gas prices and the cost of living going up, which is exactly what people want to hear right now. They're concerned about the cost of living. I mean, it's shot up tremendously, and especially the cost of food and fuel. And I see
rising interest rates are not helping anything.
They're not helping either, because now the housing market is starting to cool down. And one of my friends said his realtor told him that we've already dropped 10% in sales in Pinellas County because of the rising interest rates. I don't know how factual that is, but that's what he heard from his realtor.
Well, people are hurting their credit cards. Those interest rates are all going up. They're all adjustable.
Yeah.
And buying a car, tough to do because of 7% now instead of 3%.
If you can find a car,
if you can find a car,
if you can find a new car. Although
it's
one
not
of,
priced $16,000 over MSP, you know.
although one of my patients who works at a used car dealer, he said they've got a lot of inventory, but the prices are going up. The demand is that, well, it's going to cool down now. And I think the feds are supposed to raise another 75 basis points, which is what, three quarters of 1%, and we're already at what, 3.5%, 4%.
Yeah, I think they're doing that next month. Yep.
So that's going to impact the economy even more. Will we have a soft landing or not? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. We're going to have a recession just before Christmas. There you go. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Thank God I've saved up enough money to see through this. So at any rate,
Well, next year we'll have control of the Senate, control of the House. At least control of the House.
I think we're going to get control of the Senate. I didn't think so in late summer, but they're yelling about the left's yelling about the potential ban on abortions in some states, and they're saying that all the conservative politicians want no abortions, regardless of rape and incest. And I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen that, Ken? I have not heard that from any conservative politician that they want to outlaw abortions, even in the case of rape and incest.
Not in mass. I have not heard any.
But of course,
I don't think any states are doing that, are they? Texas might be. I'm not sure about everybody else, but most it doesn't really matter because there are how many states who still allow abortion?
Yeah, I mean, there's still going to be 20 or 30. So
yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
The Supreme Court did not outlaw abortion, and it's just not getting through.
No, it's not getting through. But in my sisters, they don't listen to anything but CNN, so they think the sky is falling, henny penny is running up and down, and they think it's the end of the world. My baby sisters back in the 05 through 7 and 8 era, she said, well, the world's going to end in 2011 because of global warming. That came and went. Then it was going to end in 22. 22's almost over. And it's not ended yet.
What do they say? They're saying now 2050. I heard an announcement that 2050 is going to be the year. When,
they pushed it all the way up to 2050.
Everything will flood.
And then what will happen? We'll all be out in rowboats or Waterworld or what?
Well, I'll have some. I'm about 5 miles from the coast, and maybe I'll finally have some waterfront property.
And grow gills.
You can come to my house, Doc.
I'm all for it, baby.
If you need a place to stay in 2050.
I'm
assuming we're both here. I don't think either one of us will be here in 2050. I'll be 91 years old or something like that.
You ain't gonna make it that long, dude. Forget about it.
No, I'm not gonna make it a Thursday.
And so Biden's fishing for some more votes, so he pardoned thousands for simple possession of marijuana. A major step towards decriminalization. So you think he's going after that vote? Well, the best way to stop him from voting? Just give him more free pot.
Let them light up.
Let them light up.
By the time they realize what's going on, the election will be a week old.
They won't find their way out to the... Hey, man. Dude, where are we supposed to go to vote?
Weren't we supposed to vote yesterday, man? Or something like that.
In the International Monetary Fund, they're saying now that these are the brilliant people that help plan our world economy. They're saying a higher recession risk and darker global outlook is looming. Really?
No kidding.
They just figured this out? I mean, this is the best of the best of the economic minds in the world over at the International Monetary Fund, and they just figured that out. Meanwhile, Amazon...
I know that you and I could run the International Monetary Fund if we had to.
We could.
We figured this out a long time ago.
Do it with a slide ruler. Most people don't even know what a slide ruler is. Before we had computers and calculators, we used a slide rule, and you could subtract and add and multiply, divide. You could do trigonometric functions. You could do some simple calculus.
Trigonometry, all that stuff, yeah.
I don't know.
That's how NASA sent men to the moon. They used a slide rule.
Yeah, I heard that Neil Armstrong had one in his hip pocket when he got on the rocket ship there.
In case they had to make any course changes, he would need that, yes.
Yeah. No,
I think they actually used it on Apollo 13.
I think they did.
When they had all that trouble. I think there's a scene in the movie anyway where he's using a slide rule to work up a new trajectory for a return to Earth or something like that.
Yep. Now, what do you think about Biden trying to open negotiations with Venezuela to get some of their high sulfur, dirty crude? You know, we have the best crude in the world. You know what light sweet Texas crude means?
What does that mean? I'm not sure what it means. I know it's the best in the world. That's what everybody really wants.
The more sulfur you have in your oil, the more acidic it is. So the more bitter it will taste. So what the guys would do, you know, the wildcatters and the oil rig guys, is they'd taste it, and when they first came out of the ground, and they'd say, hey, this is pretty sweet. You know, it doesn't have that much bitterness to it. So the sulfur levels were lower. And, of course, a lighter oil is one that has doesn't have as much heavy tar in it. It's a lighter hydrocarbons. So
is it easy to refine?
Easier to refine, less pollution, less sulfur goes out into the atmosphere, you know, less acid rain. Remember that one back in the 60s and 70s when we went through that?
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, because sulfur dioxide makes an acid. It forms an acid. So when it rained down, it would bring sulfur dioxide with it, and the water would turn acidic, and then it'd hurt the little plants and trees and the little animals.
And Greenpeace was not happy.
No, Greenpeace was not happy. So, at any rate, I got the pond 1. You know, I told you I put the aerators in there a week or two ago. Remember? Yeah, and I saw life. I mean, I saw some tadpoles. There are turtles coming back. We even had a great gray heron that was hanging out there for a while. I think he gave up on it because there wasn't enough life back yet for him to make a living. But at least we got, you know, it's looking good. And so I think I've got the rest of the board convinced that our other 3 ponds need aerators as well. The problem is, Ken, is that if you just have a fountain, you're only aerating the top 2 feet of the pond or the lake. And if you have a 6 or 8 foot deep area, basically you're not aerating, it's anaerobic, which means lack of oxygen. And so bacteria that grow without oxygen like that, and they breed on all the muck, on all the organic debris, the dead tissue, the duck feces, and the fertilizer and the grass clippings, all that falls down to the bottom, and they grow on that. And then you get that, you know, that black muck, and you get that swamp gas odor. And so I think I've got my other 2 guys convinced that we need to aerate, and we're going to get a quote on that.
Throw some fish in there then.
Yeah, well, the birds will bring them in. You know, they carry the eggs on their legs when they wade, the wading birds. And so when they fly in and sit down or step into the water, they lose some of the eggs, and the eggs hatch. And so it will populate itself. Fish will be there eventually.
All right. I didn't know that happened either. That's 3 things that I've learned on this show today. That's why you tune into the Doc Show every Sunday. You learn.
Yeah, and
I give you a couple laughs too, I imagine.
And you know, I'm thinking about wading in some ponds that have fish in it, and then coming and wading in our ponds to sort of speed up the process, Ken. I think my toenails could hang on to some eggs, but
a couple eggs in the toenails. Okay,
toenail eggs.
Eggs in my toenails. That sounds like a country song.
Yeah.
Got eggs in my toenails.
And row in my hair.
Give me a beer.
Yeah, well, speaking of beer, one of my neighbors who is actually a recovering alcoholic, he's an older guy and he's got back problems, and he just went through some chemotherapy and stuff. And so during the storm, I helped him out, you know, I helped him with his sandbags. And then after the storm, I carried the sandbags away from him. And he came over the other morning and he said, Bill, I want to thank you. And I said, no problem, Mike. You're welcome. You know, I love you. And he said, here, have this. And it was a $20 bill. I'm like, you know, Ken, if you give me money, I'll lose it immediately. I said, no, that's okay, Mike. He said, no, I insist. He said, go out. And he said, I can't drink it, but you go get a case of beer. And the
wife grabbed it, right?
And the wife, she got it. Like, I mean, it was gone like in 30 seconds.
Well, 20 doesn't last like it used to.
It just goes quick. And so, at any rate, that was sweet of him to do that. You know, you give a little, you get a little. And Joe came over and worked on setting up the Comrex, the Opal system, which is another way to feed from my studio to your control panel so that we can pump it out into the air. And I had a $25 Amazon gift card that one of my students gave me. And Ken, I could never figure out how to use the damn thing. So I said, hey, Joe, you want a $25 Amazon gift card? And he
I'm
took.
sure he appreciated it.
He was very appreciative. That's why I got a hug and a kiss. Hey, it's getting towards the end of the show. By the way, I'm Dr. Bill. We've got a medical practice in St. Pete, Florida, but we can do telemedicine anywhere in the United States.
We got a minute left. Yeah, we're at 1 minute.
Anywhere in the United States, Puerto Rico, American Samoa, the outer lying islands, the American Virgin Islands. So I can prescribe anywhere there, and you can call me at any time and set up an appointment. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411, and you can always see me in person at my office. The wife closes the office on Fridays during the slow season, but you know what, Ken? I'm still there. I'm there all the time. Just call. And
20 seconds.
The answering service will hook you up. So I am Dr. Bill, and I love you guys, and I appreciate you being with us on the show. 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411. I'm Dr.
Say bye,
Bill.
Doc.
Bye, Doc.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Bill, your radio MD. Join Dr. Bill every Sunday morning at 9 for more insight, information, provocation, and fun. Dr. Bill Handelman practices in St. Petersburg, Florida at Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic, 6399 38th Avenue North. For your convenience, telemedicine appointments are available. Call his office today at 727-384-6411. That's 727-384-6411. Or visit his website at cancareclinic.com.